Hey, this is a video about East Coast dating and West Coast dating. I don't know. I feel like it's easier to date and when I mean East Coast, I mean like New York area. And yeah, just East Coast in general. Mainly New York though. Boston, wherever. Versus like San Francisco. I don't know about LA. I've never tried to date in LA. But I feel like, and it's not even just the US, because I feel like even in Toronto, like I went to Toronto, I had a date like 5 minutes after I was in Toronto. So it was like I was on vacation, but I was dating somebody. It was interesting because it was so easy to get a date there. And then in New York, it's like I took a train to New York. I took a bus to New York. Everywhere you go in New York, you can get a date like really easy. I don't know the statistics for like how many people are unmarried and the marriage thing and everything, but I was planning on going to New York and I was looking to find somebody because I'm like, I might as well date a guy in New York and get married to a guy in New York and see if he'll come to California. But it's easier to get a man to marry you in New York than it is in San Francisco. Like in San Francisco, it's not hard to get a date, but guys do things that are just like weird. It's like I've noticed like this for the past few years, like guys will try and get you to commit to doing something with them on a date. They'll try and get you to commit to like sleeping with them, kissing them, or some kind of touching them. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go out with you. I'd rather be alone than be with you. In New York, it's like the guy just wants to hang out with you, have fun. You can go out and go hang out or whatever. But he's not, I haven't had that experience in Toronto, Boston, or New York. And I've dated in Boston, New York, and Toronto, and I've dated in San Francisco. And when I say San Francisco, I mean like the general metro area. I mean from San Francisco to Santa Rosa, San Francisco to San Jose, San Francisco to like Oakland, Fremont, Alameda, Contra Costa, Solano. I've dated all over the Bay Area. I've dated Sacramento. But one thing I will say, in Sacramento, people seem more marriage-minded the closer you get to Sacramento than San Francisco. And the thing with San Francisco area in general, like once you move out of San Francisco into the smaller towns, either the guy is married, and most of the guys in like those areas, like they're probably married already, or they can't afford to live in the city or don't want to live in the city because it's too expensive. And then you have the people, because it's like you have to narrow it down because there are the guys that are married already. They live out in the suburbs more likely, or most likely. And then there are the guys, they live there, but they don't live alone. And they might live with their family. They might be homeless, homosexuals, who knows what. And then there's the guys in the city. Most guys in the city, they probably have a roommate unless they're very well off because rent is really expensive. And then you have like the other side of the Bay Area, like Oakland, like some guys live alone, some guys might live with their mother. San Jose, you have a mix of everything because it's like a city, suburb in the same sense, or it's like a bigger city, but a suburb at the same time because there's like the little suburb areas and stuff. But then it's like you meet a guy from Fremont, he like wants to get married. You meet a guy from like certain little suburbs, like the more well-off suburbs, a guy, he might be like, he's ready to get married or whatever. Or he might be just like, oh, I'm looking for somebody to mess around with. But like in New York, you meet a guy and it's like he might have his own place or roommates or whatever, but he's more into like hanging out, family oriented, where like he's talking about, oh, I want to get married, have a family. But one thing I've noticed, because there was this guy, he was like trying to talk to me and I'm like, why are you trying to talk to me? You're like, oh, you like me, I seem so great. And I'm like, why? it's like, I haven't really said anything. I didn't do anything to seem so great. Are you colorist? Yeah, because one thing I've noticed with black guys that are very dark skinned, they will try and talk to me. And this is something I learned when I was young, because when I was like really young, guys, they were like straight, older guys would come to me and they're like, oh, yeah, you have that good skin and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, oh, I want you to have my light skinned baby. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, thank you. Because it's like, I kind of feel like some guys, and it's not even just black guys, like even like dark-skinned Indian guys will try and get with me, and they don't say it. It's like, you don't say it, but you're like, oh, you're so great and everything. And it's like, yeah, why am I so great? And I know it's because of my skin color. And it's like, I'm not even the lightest person around, but people are like, oh, you can give me light-skinned babies. And no one ever asked me if I wanted to have babies. No one ever asked me anything about myself. They're just like, oh, you're just so great. And it's like, you're telling me I'm so great, but why am I so great to you? What makes you think I'm so great? You know nothing about me. And it's like, even when you read my dating profiles, you see me in person, it's like, why am I so great? Where I'm above all the rest. And it's like, no, you like me because my skin color. You think it's like, I'm not white, but I'm light. So I can give you a light-skinned baby. You want to go light, but you don't want to go white. But the funny thing is, like, they'll want to date me and stuff. And then, like, there was this one guy on OkCupid. He was like, he liked me and everything. And he's like, yeah, I don't like white people. And I'm like, okay, he's telling me this. And I'm like, yeah, you probably won't like me. It took a bunch of white men to make me. Yeah. And then he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, my grandfather's white. I have some white grandmothers. I have some white grandfathers. I'm brown, but white people made me. Indian people made me. And he's like, oh, I want a black woman. And I'm like, if you want a black woman, you should go talk to her. Because she's pro-black, everything. Her family's all black. Yeah, you're looking for pro-black with me. I'm not anti-black or anything. I'm open to all people. But you see my family, and we're a big rainbow. I was always taught, love everybody. Skin color doesn't matter. Love who you want. If it makes you happy and it's not hurting anybody, why not do it? Yeah, because I've always had, I'm not old enough for this, but I've heard my mother say it, and I've heard my uncle say it. I think Jesse Jackson said it. A Rainbow Coalition. Don't quote me on that because I've heard it. Let me look that up. Rainbow Coalition. Yeah. It's just love who you want. I don't care who you are, what color you are, where you're from, or any of that. That's Backstreet Boys. Yeah, Jesse Jackson said that. I just found it on Google. Oh, wait, no. Who's Fred Hampton? I'm not sure who Fred Hampton is, but I thought it was Jesse Jackson who said that. Because at first it said Jesse Jackson, then on Wikipedia it says Fred Hampton. Oh, I've heard of the Black Panther Party. Yeah, I saw a movie on them when I was a kid, and then in Oakland, the Black Panthers were around. Yeah, my mom said they were around when she was a kid. I've heard of somebody named Fred Hampton. I'm not sure who he is. But I've heard Jesse Jackson say that. Or wait, actually, I've never heard him say it. I've heard people say that he said it. Oh, this guy died in like 1969, Fred Hampton. Huh, interesting. But yeah, I love who I want to love. I'm with who I want to be with, and who wants to be with me. Yeah, I'm all about diversity and everything. But I will say, Because I've met some guys from the Middle East, some Persian guys. It's like, you will try and date me until you find that blonde white woman you're looking for. And it's like, yeah, no, thank you. Don't come to me. It's like, you're cute and everything, but you were like, in your country, you watched porn and there were these blonde white women, and that's your dream. The American dream is a blonde white woman. And it's like, okay, yeah, because that's what this guy told me. And he was very short. He was a nice guy until I realized that. And then he would do stuff and I realized he was a user too. Yeah. But if your dream is a cracked out white woman that's like 500 pounds, I say more power to you. Go for it. Yeah, because there was this one guy. I've talked about him many times. Oh, I was about to say something, but I'm like, if I say this, this would so out him, but like who he was, if like any of his coworkers watched my videos or anything. But this tech worker I was working with, I wasn't working with him, but I was dating. Yeah, and he kept trying to, because it was like, he was cool, then he kept trying to sleep with me, like on the first date, and then we went out like second time, and then it was like, yeah, it wasn't working out for him because I wasn't sleeping with him and doing what he wanted. And it was surprising because considering where he was from and that's what he was expecting, because I was expecting him to be like a very conservative, like nice person. He was a nice person, but I was expecting him to be like really conservative considering where he was from, but he was not. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that'll be the end of this video, but I'm just not really into dating a guy. Oh, wait, what I was going to say was when I went out with him and I was telling him about myself and everything, and I'm like, all these things I've done and accomplishments, he's like, why? He's like, why did you go to college? Why did you do all of this? And I'm like, because I need to support myself because I don't have a husband. Even if I had a husband, I would still do all the same things, because just because you have a husband, I can't guarantee you'll stay with me forever. I can't guarantee you might go find someone else that you might like better. I can only hope that you would stay with me for life and everything and have a family and a future and see our grandchildren grow up together and all that stuff. But I can't guarantee a man's gonna do all that stuff. So it's like, I need to go get an education so I can support myself, take care of myself. And if I ever happen to get married and have a family and that man leaves me, I will still be able to support myself and my children so we don't have to live in abject poverty and homeless on the street. So, yeah, men are interesting. Yeah. And with diversity of men comes different cultures, different things and everything. Oh, there was this one man I was talking to last night on, Coffee Meet Bagel. He seemed nice and everything. And then I was just like, oh, you're cool. And then he was like, he was Puerto Rican. So I started talking to him in Spanish. And he was like, oh, I don't speak it. And I'm like, okay, like you don't? Why don't you speak Spanish? You didn't learn it in school. You didn't learn it from your family. ¿Por qué no quiero español? ¿Por qué no quiero en escuela? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? I'm asking. And he's like, no. And then I was like, why do you have a 213 number? And then he got upset and then he blocked me. Yeah, I like a man that speaks a second language. Yeah, it's always good for travel and stuff. And then, like, you don't even have to be fluent. Just be able to speak something else. So, if you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And like the video. Thanks for watching and being a member or viewer of my channel. Bye.